Back again. This is part two of, I believe, part four in our merry road through this to do app that we've been working on. So when I say part two, what I mean is part two of the React app. So we've done the back end, we've done the SQL, SQLite stuff. We have started building out some functionality here that we can click on. We can click on these delete buttons, do stuff. What we need to do today is add the to-dos input. Okay. We need to do that. There's also a couple things that I want to do for cleaning up some of the code. So let's start there. Let me show you what I mean. Over to our code, we have this get to-dos, right? And if you remember, we passed this down. So we broke it out into its own function and we pass it down here to TodoList. And then TodoList doesn't really do anything with it. It just passes it into TodoItem. Now this is known as prop drilling. And prop drilling, normally it's not a big deal, right? We're only going like 2 levels deep from app to TodoList through TodoItem. But there will be times where you have a long list of components that you are doing this to. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to do it that way. Instead, what we should do is we should make this a context. A context is kind of like global state for your React app. It allows you to pass things around. It's not immediately accessible in the same way that global variables would be, but you can get access to it. And that's the important thing. Okay. So right here, I'm going to go into my app, app.jsx, and I'm going to copy all of this stuff. So the state, the get to dos function, and the use effect. I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. Over in source, front end source, I'm going to create a new folder called context. And inside of there, I'm going to create a new file called todo.jsx. Okay. So this is the to-do context. That's what we're building here. Okay. Now down in here, I can start building some stuff. What I do is I set up a context. Okay. I use capital letters here. I'm not sure it's super important, but that to-do context equals create context. And you'll see that it's the second one here. There you go. Now it's the first one. And if I click on this, it's going to import that. Okay. If it doesn't do that import, type it out. Okay. You need to. That is a function. So we do that. And then I want to get 2 things off that. So I'm going to destructure 2 things from to-do context. Okay. I do need an equal sign in there. So let's do that. But I get the provider, and you'll see that that's a capital P provider and consumer. Now for us, we're not actually going to use the consumer, but this is a good practice. Okay. When we set it up the way that I'm about to, you always want that to be able to pass that consumer through in case somebody else down the line wants to use it. Okay. So right here, now we have this provider, but we want to create, we want to put it in our own component. Okay. A lot of people will set up that provider and they'll put it inside of app, which means that they're using all of this logic inside of app. Tends to get very long, especially if you have multiple contexts and stuff like that. I'm not really a fan of that. So what I do is I package it all up right here. Okay. So const to do provider. Okay. That's going to be a function. In fact, this is going to be a component, right? That's why we capitalized this one. Okay. So inside of here, we're going to return capital P provider. There it is. Closing it off. And it's going to get something called children. Okay. Now children, in case this is your first time through React, children is anything between 2 tags. So right here we have these React fragments. That means that these 3 items are children of the React fragment. Okay. Over here, right, you have the UL. All of the to-do items are children of the UL. Okay. In fact, this whole block is children technically for JSX. So we want to wrap our components inside of this provider, which is going to get passed down using children. Okay, spell it right. There we go. Children will just end up in there. In fact, I've totally put this in the wrong place because I'm jumping around. Should be here. Excellent. Okay. All that code that's still in my clipboard, hopefully still is. Yes, it is. That exists inside of this to-do provider. Okay. And the reason for that is because right here, we still want to be able to provide to-dos. Okay. We do that on the provider as values. Okay. Yes, values. Just like this, which means, actually I'm wrong. It's not plural, which means that we are going to supply this with an object. That object is going to have two things. It's going to have those to-dos. It's also going to have our get to-dos function. Okay. I don't like to type that in here. It feels very messy. So I'm going to create one more const. Okay. We'll call this values plural. That feels like a good name. And inside of here, we're going to add to-dos and get to-dos. Okay. Now we can take that, paste it right in here, and we are just about good to go. It's still going to scream a lot. Okay. Especially since I copy and pasted, so it didn't actually see use state like this and use effect. So I actually have to type them. That's punishment for copy and pasting. But now we need to basically export these, and then we need to go and do the prop validation, right? That prop validation again, little copy and pasting for the win. So right here, prop types, and grabbing this thing right here, all the way at the bottom. This is going to be to-do provider prop types, and we only have one. We have children. Okay. So we can get rid of this bit. Now, what do we put after? Okay. There's a bunch in here, and we can go through and find, oh, node. Node seems very useful. And in fact, if you go and search this online, you will find that it is some flavor of proptypes.node. Okay. They tend to have some kind of an or statement in here as well for an array of nodes, because that is possible. We aren't using that for this, so I think we're okay there, but saving it, that little bit is done. So now we just need to export these, okay? The first thing that we export is the context, okay? We do that as the default, okay? So that's to-do context, just like this. And then we export our named exports. So the first one is going to be that consumer, and the next one is going to be that to-do provider. Now, as a practice, again, this is how I set this up, right? I've done this for a while now, and it feels very comfortable to me. So as a good practice, I want to keep these names, provider and consumer, okay? Which means that down here, I need to change this to be provider, okay? Now, if I save that, everything should go green. All of the lines should go away because officially I've done it right, okay? But what have we done? We've created a system where all of this information is going to be held inside of this component, right? That's kind of what the context does. It's a parent component that holds all that logic for you. And then you can reach into that component at any time, into this context at any time, and pull values off of here, specifically the to-dos and the get to-dos. Okay. Let's use it. Over to main. We could put it in app as well. I'm going to put it in main because it feels right. Okay. So right here, I'm going to go provider, and you'll see that it goes .context provider, .context to do, sorry. That is exactly what I want. And then the app should be inside, okay? So there we go. We got it. If we had done it the traditional way, we would have had logic. We would have put this in app. We would have had some sort of logic there that was being sent in as values to our provider, okay? Because we only have one, provider is okay. But if you have multiple, you want to be as descriptive as possible. So I'm going to reverse it here too, okay? So we have this provider. We didn't need those values, but right here as to-dos provider, okay? Copy, paste, excellent, okay? So if we had multiple contexts, this would be just a little bit more descriptive about which is which. And all of that logic is contained over here. So we don't have to worry about it. We've moved it away into a very safe place, okay? At this point, we can use it. So how do we use it? Well, we go up to app, okay? All of this is gone, okay? Instead, we're going to get information from that context, okay? Again, I'm going to destructure it, but right over here, I'm going to use context. And inside of there, I'm going to say which context, which is my to-do context. So both those things should have imported. From there, I can get to-dos and I can get to-dos, right? I can, a little bit of redundancy in there, but get to-dos and get to-dos. Now, this is not actually going to do anything different. Everything should just work the same. It does, okay? So I haven't really done anything magical, but it seems like a good time to commit, right? Let's go there. Jump out of here, git status. We have the app, we have the main. We can check what we did. Deleted a bunch of stuff, added the context. Yeah, that's exactly right, okay? Git add dot, git commit -m. Do it right. Front end. Add context, okay? Add, sure, to do context. There it is. My fingers don't want to work. Brilliant, okay? So we have this, but I mean, have we really changed anything here? I don't think we have, okay? I think we can do better. In fact, I think if we just rip this out, okay, and then get rid of all of this and get rid of the parts that we don't need, now the app is very lean, okay? Now we do need to reuse that. Things are going to break like crazy over here, right? It's saying, I don't know what to do. So let's go back to our code, find that to-do list, and start using it, okay? So again, const something equals use context, okay? That's going to be the to-do context right there. And all we really want here is the to-dos, okay? So we bring that in. We have those to-dos. They're being funneled down to to-do, which is good. We don't want this function anymore. We want to get it a different way. Things are breaking because it is expecting all of this. So now we can just get rid of all of those things. In fact, we can clean this part out too. Okay. Save it. Still got stuff in here. There we go. And now we have this. Now things are not going to update. Okay. So things are breaking like crazy. Yeah, we can refresh, doing the thing. It's kind of not working the way that we thought, right? Because get to dos is now undefined inside of our list, inside of our to do item. Okay. We can go and fix that to do item right up here. To do, yes, get to dos, no. Instead, we pull that off, right? So right here equals use context, and we get the to do context. And from there, we get to dos. Okay. Now that does mean some cleanup, right? We got to get rid of this part. To do still comes through. Everything else stays the same. And now we're in a good place. Let's jump over to Bruno really fast. Add one more just so that we can see it. refresh, buy milk. Excellent. Okay. Delete should still work. It does. Okay. At this point, we have just that one more thing. Okay. Just that one more thing for the video, which is which is AddTodo. Okay. Because we've broken that out to a context, we have access to all that good stuff, which is brilliant. It means we can pass it around to any component we want and use it. Okay. I don't think I've committed, which is why it's all highlighting funny. Let's go do that really fast. Get status. We've done a bunch of stuff to this. So we've removed everything from app. It's all cleaned out. We removed a bunch of stuff from, where is it here? Removed a bunch of stuff from TodoList, making it a little bit cleaner. And then, of course, removing everything or adding a few things to TodoItem. Okay. And of course, cleaning out our prop types. Okay. Sounds good to me. Git add dot git commit -m feature for the front end, just like this. Use TodoContext. Okay. Excellent. Let's go add that input. Okay. That input, we can get rid of a lot of this. We're going to come back to app, but over here, closing stuff out, we don't need a lot of this anymore. But right here inside of components, we need a new folder, AddTodo. Okay. Inside of there, a new file. No, not capital, index.jsx. Okay. And now inside of here, const AddTodo, just like this. It's a function and we're going to do stuff. Okay. It's a component, which is a function. So right here, this component is going to be a form. That's very important. We don't need the action, but it's going to be a form because that way we get immediate accessibility wins, right? We can use the keyboard. When we want to submit, we can hit the return key and it will all just work. Okay. So using the tags, using the browser the way that the browser was meant to be used. Okay. Inside of this form, we need a label. Okay. Just like this. And that's going to be for to do. Okay. Now add a to do. Later on, we're going to hide this label in an accessible way so that it's not really visible. But we always want it to be there so that if accessible technology is using our app, it's going to read that. Okay. So this is for accessibility. Very important. Always try to think about the users that need that little extra. Okay. And by sorting out the users that need that little extra, you're helping everyone else too. Okay. Input, we have it. It is of type text. Yes, definitely. Let's wrap this a little bit just to make it pretty, because we're going to add some stuff here. Okay. We need a name equal to do and an ID equal to do. Now you might remember that for the checkbox, we did not add a name, but when we are using form, having a name property, a name attribute makes our lives easier. You'll see that in a bit. I'll come back to that. Okay. Placeholder. Sure. Why not? Let's make it, get a jug of milk. Okay. Excellent. The last thing we need is a button. Okay. This button is, it defaults to a type of submit, but let's be explicit. Okay. Just like this type of submit. And this is going to be add. Okay. So we have all this stuff. We did not export it. So export default, add to do. Okay. Now we can use this. Let's go to the app. Let's replace this with add to do. Thankfully, it should import for us. If it doesn't, remember to type it. Okay. And save. Now the browser, that input is in here. We can highlight it. We can hit something. If we hit the enter key, you'll see that everything kind of flashes, okay? In fact, I can just do that. Look, like there's a little thing up here where it's refreshing. It's always firing away, doing stuff. And that's because the default behavior of a form is to send it to the current URL, which is why you're seeing this to-do equals thing, okay? So right here, let's get rid of this so that we can just go back. We are going to A, stop the usual behavior, and B, send our to-do, okay? So let's stop that right in here. Not an app, no. Up here, const handle submit, okay? That is going to get our event, which is going to have basically everything in it, okay? But the first thing that we do is event.prevent default, not plural. I make that mistake a lot where I add a final S. Don't do that, okay? Then on the form tag, not at the input, but the form tag, we go on submit equals handle submit, okay? At this point, I should get something that appears very broken. I can type in here and hit enter, right? Just like this. That's a good thing. Everything is working. Don't worry, okay? Now, from here, we need to do a few things. One, we need to get the value of this input. We know it's called to do. We know it's inside of the form. Let's do that, okay? Right here, const form equals event.currentTarget, okay? Because that's what you get when you submit a form. You get the value of this form, okay? And inside of that form is the to do, okay? And that's on form.todo.value, okay? So here's where the magic comes in. That name is being used right here. It will not pick up with ID, okay? But with name, it absolutely will. It'll attach this input with this name to this form, okay? And that's how this magic is working. It's something that has existed in browsers forever and ever. It's always been there. So we can just use it too, okay? We get that value. It's all good, okay? That's exactly what we want. Now from here, we want to send our request. Well, we already have a request over an item. So let's go and cheat and copy and paste, okay? We're just going to grab all of this fetch code, okay, and the body. Let's go and do that for a second. Paste it back and change the things that we need. There is no body. We can fix that. In fact, the body here will just be the to-do inside of an object, okay? It's an object with the to-do inside of it. That's all we need there. There is no ID. Let's get rid of ID. This is going to be post. Everything else is the same, okay? We don't have this get to-dos, right? We need to do that. That's on the context. Const here equals use context, just like this. That's going to be to-do context and get to-dos, okay? So everything is green. Everything seems to be working. Let's go try it, okay? Over here, we type buy milk. Oh, it's not working. We did something wrong. What did we do? Let's go take a look. This one is new to me. So we have todo.form. Oh, I see. I see it. I broke this somehow. So 2 seconds here. I must have had value highlighted. If we go back just right there. Oh, I totally did. There we go. I need that value to be in there. Sorry. So I broke it by trying to paste over a highlighted value. So one more time with feeling, getting rid of the body, getting rid of this ID because we don't need it, changing the method to post, changing the body to be an object with to do in it, and then of course pulling in get to dos right here equals use context with to do context. Okay, get to dos. There we go. Let's try it again. Back here. So buy milk, it's highlighted. Boom, I get buy milk. Okay, let's refresh this just to be sure. Eat lunch. Okay. Now you'll notice that it adds it, but it doesn't clear the field, which means that I could do this several times. Not so bad because I can hit delete, but still kind of annoying, especially if I want to add a lot of to-dos really fast, right? I just want to be able to type, hit enter, type, hit enter. So let's go do that really fast. That is right here in the then, okay? Cut out the get to-dos, okay? Add a function, arrow function, okay? Paste that in. Don't forget the parentheses so that we are actually calling get to-dos this way, okay? And then right before it, we go form dot reset, okay? Again, using the browser for what it's good at. We already have that form, so we can reset that form. That's a method that is given to us for free. At this point, we save it. We go back, refresh, maybe cut the grass. Boom. Do something else. Boom. Okay. Every time I can just keep going, and I'm hitting the return key. I could also hit the add, right? So it's all just kind of working. Now, there is a possible mistake here, right here. Okay. I can add empty to-dos, right? And I have no way of editing these. We didn't build that feature in, but maybe we want to take care of that, which means that maybe we don't want to be able to send it when it's empty. Okay. We can do that. Wrapping the fetch with an if. So if to-do does not equal an empty string, then go and do all this good stuff. Okay. It's as simple as that, just adding a condition. And now if I delete these, I should not be able to send anything, but if I type, okay, I can hit it. I don't know if you can hear it, right? It's all just working, which is good, which means that we should commit, okay? When it's working, we should commit. So git status, yes, git add dot git commit -m feature for front end, add to do component. Okay, good. I have one more thing, just one more thing for this video, and we can get out of here, right? We can get on to whatever the next video is, which I think is styling. We'll talk about that in a second. Get on to some fun things. What happens if I delete everything? Delete, 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 delete. Nothing, right? It doesn't break, but it doesn't really help me at all because I can't see anything in here. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I could go and try to type something, but when it's empty, that's not very helpful. So maybe we want a help message right here for when it's empty, okay? We can do that over in TodoList. Where is it? Right here. And it says, if the to-dos is empty, return something else. Works exactly like that. So if to-dos.length equals 0, then return div, come on, do it right. Div no to-dos. Please add some. Okay. That seems useful. No to-dos, please add some. Right here, it goes away. I delete it. No to-dos, please add some. And now, after we commit, we have a really good system. Okay. Right there, git add dot git commit -m feature for front end. Wow. End. add empty state. Okay. Good. So git log dash dash one line. Okay. Here it is. We have done a ton of stuff. What we did right here, the last video was add delete handler, but we added that context, right? And you see how I add context. Lots of different ways to do this, but I feel like if it's related, it should live in the same file, or at least in the same folder, right? By doing context in the same file, it means that all this logic is right where I would expect it to be. If there's an error, I can go and try and debug it as a single unit instead of bouncing around my app, finding the various pieces that make this context work. Okay, so I really like this pattern. Give it a try. Let me know in the comments if you like it. Maybe you don't, and that's okay, right? Everyone to their own. But we built out the context so that we could clean up a lot of our component structure, okay? Way over here, you see that this is now very lean. We aren't doing a lot of logic in here. We aren't passing anything around. It's all just super, super easy to read, okay? From there, we finished it by adding our to-do. So we have a handler here that gets information. And again, using the browser for what it's strongest at, right? The form element, it's been around forever. And the keyboard navigation that works with forms just works so well, okay? So please use the browser whenever you can. Be comfortable with pulling information off of those tags when available. It's all just so good. There's no reason not to use it. Could we have gone the other way and stored input in state and then on change or when we click the button, we get that state and send it? Yeah, and you will see a lot of that. But this works, okay? And I didn't need to add an extra thing for hitting that enter key, right? I didn't need a keyboard event. It was just built in for me, right? Making my life easy. That's what I'm all about. So use it. We did that. We finished with empty states, right? That's where we ended up. We added that empty state, which means that now, after all of these commits, we have a working app. We have the back end, we have the front end. It doesn't look pretty. We will sort that out in the next video, but right now it works. Okay. You could probably send this off to your instructor if you're in a bootcamp and get good enough marks. There's still some things we can do, including those styles. So the next video is going to be styles. The video after that is going to be tying it all together, making it just a little bit better, because there was one thing in the instructions that we need to tackle still. For now, the next video, styles, right? CSS. Hopefully you're comfortable with that. If you aren't, that's why I'm here, right? I will see you in the next one.